Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for a new year of Build Your Stash and Craft. This is video 105 and today we are going to make handmade bags for gifts of any sort. So I made my daughters some calendars for Christmas, and by the time you see this video these will have been finished and I will probably have put up a video on these already. But these journals, I wanted to make my own handmade bag so that the whole thing was theirs. It was, like I did the whole thing. And I learned how to make these bags from Dee. That's Betsy Doodle on YouTube. And they are just the easiest things to do. They're great when you want a bag that fits something just right instead of having a great big bag or one that's too tight. And so what I did was I just looked around my house for something that was approximately the size I was going to need. Now this is going to be a really big video as far as space-wise, so I'm hoping you're going to be able to see all of this, but I found this game, and this game is, let me put this right in the middle. It's taller and longer than my book, and it's also got a little space on each side. And then it is also wider than my book. So if I use this as the size of my bag, then these calendar journals will fit right in there. So I showed you, when I showed you what we were going to make, I showed you a roll of paper, which was some Christmas paper I had, because I had not made it to the Dollar Tree yet. I did go ahead and buy this paper for myself to actually use for the bags for my girls, and I got this at the Dollar Tree for $1. But I'm going to use the original one I showed you to show you how to make the bag, and then I will go and I will make the bags for this one also. But you can make these bags in any size that you want to. The first thing I did was I just took a length of paper and I folded it in half for two reasons. Number one, it gives me color on the inside and the outside, and it makes my paper a lot sturdier. And all I did was I cut a piece that I thought would be big enough, and then I just water glued half of it, folded it over, pressed it down as best I could. Now we've got some spots here that are a little wrinkled. On this one over here, because I didn't pick it up in time, it stuck to my mat that I was doing it on, and it ripped my paper. That's okay. What I'm going to do is this, I'm going to take the bad side and put that on the inside. Nobody's ever going to know it's there. So, and the same with this one. This little wrinkle here and stuff, I'll just put that on the inside, and it won't make a big deal at all because the other side looks really good. So all you need to do, this is just the simplest thing ever. Let me move this out of here. You're just going to kind of wrap this box. Now I'm going to, let me move my light back a little bit. I'm going to make sure that I don't have too much paper that comes past the top of my box. I only want it to come partway up my box, just like you're going to wrap a present. And then that's going to leave me a little bit sticking up the top, which is going to make my bag right about the right size I want it to be. Excuse me. And then what I'm going to do is I am just going to, I want the center of my bag to be approximately in the middle. So I'm going to just move my box over until my paper here gets to the middle. Biggest thing is you're going to want to make sure that you keep things nice and straight. And then I'm going to wrap this over, and I'm going to fold it back so that I have a little bit overlapping. Let's see how much we have for an overlap here. We've got about an inch down under there. So I'm going to fold this, and then where I folded it, that will give me a line to cut, and we'll cut it off so that our paper is just the right size to make our bag. So I'm just going to cut it there on the fold. I'm actually going to cut just inside the fold so that I don't have that fold on my bag. If I try and cut right on the fold, I always have just a little bit of that fold, like on one side or the other. Now this is, I can tell it's not going super straight. I can straighten it up when I'm done if I want, or easiest thing to do is put put that one on the inside. We know that this one is flat because it was the edge of the paper itself. And so we're just going to make sure that we have it nice and straight, especially at the top. Make sure that your pages or your paper lines up right there at the top really well. If it's a little crooked at the bottom, that's going to get folded in. And then you're going to press those corners really nicely all the way around. You want to make sure that you have just the really nice crease in there. I'm going to flip it over. I'll just kind of flip it up like this and do it. And just get a really good crease on there. And there we go. Now we're going to let this open up a little bit, and I'm going to glue it all the way from the top to the bottom. Don't stop at the top of your whatever you're using as your template or whatever you want to call it. Make sure you go all the way to the very top of the bag. And I do want to look at this and see how far over this comes, because I want to get all the way over. So it comes right over. The nice thing about this paper is it has lines on it. So I know that I want to come over right to there. All right, and that's way too much glue. I'm going to put some on here, and then I'm going to spread it out, because I don't want it squishing all over the place. We're going to come right out to this line. And it's probably going to squish out a little bit. I might even go out a little too far. That's okay. We'll just wipe it off with a damp paper towel when we're done. And just make sure you get it glued all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. And if you get any on your box, you're going to want to make sure that you wipe that off. There we go. And now I have to get all the way to the bottom. Just to keep everything together and keep it nice and straight so that it doesn't shift when you're trying to fold it. I'm going to grab a napkin here. First thing I'm going to do is wipe this off my box. I don't want to glue my box inside the bag. Make sure that I get that lined back up where I want it. Get it right up against that corner. And then we're just going to pull this over. Nice and tight. And really, it doesn't have to be super tight. Actually, if you get it too tight, it'll be hard to get your box out. There we go. Get that all pressed together. Make sure you get up here at the top and get that pressed together. And then make sure you get all the way to the very bottom. Press that together and then wipe off any excess glue that you have on there so that it doesn't leave a mark. Now, if, like on this shiny paper, sometimes the glue is going to leave a mark. If it does, just use just squeeze out your paper towel really tightly so that it's barely damp, and then wipe that glue off of there, and it will take off any marks that the glue left. But I don't want to let this glue dry on here. We got to get that off before we go any further. Okay, and just keep pressing it down until it holds nicely. And then we'll just fold the bottom in. Now I'm going to do this, and I have a couple of VHS tapes here, and I'm going to set them on top. I actually pulled these out to use them to make another size bag. If you might not want a bag that's this thin, but if you put two on top of each other, that might be the perfect size bag, or three on top of each other. And so that's actually why those are sitting here, so I can use them to make a bag, but I'm going to use them for weight right this second, just to hold that down. Now I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to fold this just like I would fold a package. So I'm going to fold down the top, get to the edge of that box, make sure that you push this over right to the edge. I'm going to make sure I'm not moving my box. Get that right to the edge before you crease down this side, so that you have a really nice straight corner right here. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Make sure that we get it right out to the edge of the box and push that down. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing. I'm going to push this one down. Making sure that I get out to the edge of the box. And then just push that together. Do the same thing here. Give yourself a nice crease. Do the same thing over here. Make sure you get right out to the edge of that box before you put your crease in there. And I just kind of fold them out this way and then fold them back this way. It just kind of makes them a little bit more pliable. And there we go. Now that's going to be what the bottom of our bag looks like. And we're just going to glue that. I'm going to just kind of give it a good push. Just to kind of flatten that out. And I'm going to put just a little bit of glue in here, and then I'm going to glue down the flaps. And then you basically have the whole shell of your bag made. And then you can go ahead and you can put some handles on it, which just gives it that little extra touch. So I'm going to put some there, and I'm going to put some inside here. Some on this flat part here. And some on the inside here, just to hold that all together. And I'm going to set it up here and give it a good press. Okay, now while that's kind of drying a little bit, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to leave it setting up just the way it is and just set it there. And then I'm going to cut out just a couple little squares of cardboard, and I'm going to use those to reinforce my handles so that my handles don't pull through. And I'm just going to find a pen here. I'm going to use the width of my ruler and a piece of chipboard, which chipboard is just a flat type of cardboard, and that's what all your little cereal boxes and everything are made out of. So don't think you ever have to buy chipboard. You can, this is a cookie box, cereal boxes, macaroni boxes, and they all come in different thicknesses. So if you have a box that you think is too thin for something that you're doing, check your other boxes, because you'll probably find one just the thickness you need. But really, there's no reason to have to buy chipboard. And if you don't eat that much that's boxed food, just when you do, make sure that you save it. I usually cut off my tabs and I don't keep them because they're usually kind of messy, ripped, whatever. So, but I cut it into pieces so that when I'm ready to use it, I have it. And it doesn't take up as much space as keeping a whole box. So I'm going to need 4. We're going to put a handle that goes like this and then like this. Like looped over. So I will need 2 for each side. And because I drew on each side of my ruler to make my length, I'm going to draw on each side of my ruler for my width. And that way my little squares will actually be square, because otherwise you can just eyeball it if you want to. It's going to be on the inside of your bag. But I just thought I would like them to actually be square. And if I tried to cut a square, it wouldn't really be square. So there we go. Now I have 4 of them. Now, before I actually cut all 4 apart, I'm going to cut both ends off. I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper. And if you don't have any sandpaper, we do have sandpaper in our stash for the series. But if you don't have any, a nail file works just fine. And sorry for the shaky table. All you're doing is you're just trying to get that shiny paint off of there. Even though it's going to be covered up, that is so that your glue will stick to it better. The glue doesn't like to stick to the shine as well. It will. This just makes it stick a little bit better. So there we go. You don't have to remove all of the paint. You just want to remove the shine. Get rid of that sanding dust. And now we have our 4 pieces for our handles to go through. And you can make your handles out of anything. Old shoelaces, yarn, twine, anything that you decide that you want to. And then what I like to do, because I want to make sure that they're all the same, I'm going to go on the back side that I'm going to glue, and I'm just going to quick put a little mark on them so that I know what is the upside. So I know that that's the top of each one. And then on one of them, I'm going to just draw a little cross to make sure that I punch my hole in the center, or at least close to the center. And you can just eyeball it too. It really doesn't matter. If you just want to make sure they're all in the same spot, just punch it, and then punch the rest of them in the same spot. I'm going to try and do 2 at the same time. Aha, that worked. And then I'm going to put that right on top of here, make sure that I have all my tops lined up. Now when I glue these to my bag, my holes will all be in the same spot. Just going to line that up, put my hole punch right in the hole that I already punched, and punch the last 2. So now I have all my holes in exactly the same spot. I know that this part right here will be the up part, and it'll just look nicer. Okay, so this should be pretty good. And really, you're going to want to let it, dry for a nice amount of time. But for time's sake, well, we'll just leave the box in there for right this second. And I'm just going to take these. Now, you could paint these before you put them in, or you can just put them in. You can put like one here and one here for something that goes like this. If you want to do just one handle, you can put them on the ends here and here, and then just have one handle. So you can do that however you would like to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these on here, and then after they're on there and they've dried a little bit, then I will punch the hole through the bag. And that way, again, like I said, I'll know that my holes will be in the same place. So I'm just going to take this one, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball from the outside edge in where I put them. I'm not going to necessarily measure that, although you can, to make sure that it's perfect. And I'm going to look at this, and my little line is there, so I know that this is my upside. And I'm going to put it pretty close to the corner. And just line it up with the top of my bag. And just hold on to it till it grabs, and then go to the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all 4 of these on here, and then grab some twine because I forgot to do that, and then I will be back and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I thought really quick while that's drying, this is the piece that we cut off of here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a really quick little box out of this. Now this side is kind of messy. I'm going to use my 2 videos, and I am just going to make a really cute, this is going to be like a short, fat bag. And I'm just going to line that up there. I need to make sure that I have enough to meet in the middle on the bottom, and I don't quite have enough, so I'm going to move up a little bit more. Okay, now when I fold that down, both pieces will meet on the bottom. So we'll do that. And there's not too much extra there, so I'm going to slide this over a little bit. Just like that. Again, make sure that I have enough to meet in the middle, and I do. I just figured, what the heck, while I was waiting, I wanted to play with this. And so I thought that we would just kind of do it quickly so that you can see, you know, the other one took a little bit of time, but that was because I was going slow and going through the steps. But it really doesn't take very long to make one at all. And then the other thing is, like, I put the cardboard supports in there for the handles. You don't, first off, you don't have to have a handle on them. You can make them tall and fold them over at the top. You can just leave them open without a handle on them. Sometimes when I buy store-bought bags, I think, you know, the handles are just kind of in the way of my tissue paper sticking out and stuff. So, you know, you don't have to do the handles, but even if you're going to do the handles, you don't have to have the cardboard supports in there and everything. I just kind of wanted to make a bag that was going to be a little extra sturdy in case they wanted to use it again. So there we go. So now we're just gonna fold this down, flip it over, make sure that my movies did not move, since there's two of them. They're not something solid. I thought about putting a rubber band around it, but I was just being too lazy. You could do that if you've got like two books or two whatever that you put together to make your bag thicker. You can put a rubber band or something around them so they don't move. And there we go. I'm just gonna squish that down and put some glue on it. Put a little inside the flap. And a little on the outside of the flap. Now this shiny paper also takes a little while for the glue to stick. And if you put the glue on thick and don't spread it around a little bit, it also takes longer to dry. If you spread it out, it gets tacky much quicker. There we go. And there we go. There. Now that one just has to dry a little bit and it can be done. It can have handles. On this one, I think what I would do is put a handle on each end. And so far, that's what it looks like. Isn't that a cute little fat bag? So, but then also we can put gussets in them, which we'll do. That's, you know, when Dee showed how to make them, that's how she showed how to make them. But first, we're going to let them dry. So I just thought I'd come and just show you, since I had that little piece left over. I thought that would make a cute, I thought that'd be cute with like some candies or something in it. So I wanted to keep it, and I thought I'd show you how I made it real quick. Okay, I'll be back in just a few. Okay, so we're back to finish these up. I have already put in my little supports here. They're not quite dry, for my holes. And we put the holes in, the hole supports in here earlier. So I'm going to take this box out now. And I'm going to show you how to fold it if you want it to be folded like a bag. So what you do is you just go ahead and fold your flat sides, just kind of push in the middle and take your flat sides. First, what we're going to do is we're going to really crease these edges. So we'll crease all four edges and then we'll fold it out. There we go. You just want to make sure that you get them straight. And since you folded it around the box and you pressed it pretty well, that gives you a really nice spot to fold on. And again, like I said, I saw Betsy Doodle do this, and I have made lots of bags this way since I saw her do it. It was quite some time ago, and it's just a really great way to make a little bag for a project, or if you're sending out a a Happy Meal or something. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these nice crease edges and we are just going to line them up. Let the center go down and then just press it flat until we get down towards the bottom. Now the closer you get to the bottom, the more you're going to get this V here. And then you'll decide what you want to do is you're going to make this, the depth of this V, approximately the width or the same as how wide this is here. And that's going to make it so that it folds up really nice. So we'll go to the other side. We'll put those two edges together. And again, we've got our little V going on. You're going to want to kind of help it a little bit like that. And come down until you're about the same width, the width of this here. And I'm going to make sure that I crease this corner right here. Crease this corner too. Make sure that these corners are creased, okay? And then you're going to make sure that you have the back of your bag. And then what you're going to do is, looks like this, and then you're just going to gently press this down. Make sure that you keep the lines inside pressed in. Just keep pressing in like this as you go. And just take your time because this is thick. And you want those all your presses to be nice and crisp. We're going to flatten it here. And then we're just going to flatten it out. Give it a really good press all the way around. And now when you send this to someone and they've taken their gift out of it, they can fold it up and put it away and use it for another time if they'd like to. Make sure we get a good press there and a good press there. And there we go. Now it's going to just unfold just like any other bag does. And now you've got your fold in there. Excuse me. And then we are going to come in here and we're going to line our punch up with our hole inside and punch our holes there. We'll do that on all four that we put in. I'm just trying to see inside there. I know you can't see it. It's kind of hard to get it so you can see it. Maybe you can see this one. Just line that up and give it a punch. And there we go. Now we've got our holes to put our string in. And then I decided that I was going to use this pretty fibers that I have. And this one is variegated, so I'm going to go to the end of my maroon here. And then I'm going to decide, is that going to actually be long enough for my handle if I cut that in half there? And by the time I put a knot in it, it's not. So I'm going to have to go a little further than that. Okay. I want my handles to be the same, so I'm just going to fold it in half and cut it so that they're both the same length. And then just put a nice size knot in it. You don't want to pull your knot super tight because you want it to be a nice bulky knot so that it doesn't go through the hole. Trim off that part that I shredded, and then just go from the inside out so that your knot winds up on the inside. Pull it through like that. I'm going to come over here and put it through this hole. And tie a knot in that. And again, we're going to just want it to be a nice big bulky knot, so we're not going to make it super tight. If we can get that through there. There we go. And there we go. So now we have our handle. And we'll just do the same thing quickly to the other side. And this bag will be ready for me to put my gift in. And I just think these are fun. Now you can also use these to make a box. You can make your bag just like this, and instead of folding it like a bag like this, just leave it square or rectangular or whatever you want to call that. And then what you do is like take a paper towel and fold it up and wrap it around your box, or you can put anything around your box. You're just going to wrap something around whatever it is that this was made off of, right across the top, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. Pulled strings on that one too, so I'll cut those off. And there we go. And now we have our really pretty handles on our bag. And this is what our bag looks like. Turned out very nicely with the handles. And now it's going to fit my books just perfectly. So, but if you wanted to make a box, what you would do is, we'll say this one right here. Instead of folding it, just leave it square. Now we made this around these two videotapes. So what you would do is, I would just take a little bit of paper towel and fold it till it's about this thick, and just go all the way around here and tape it. That's going to make this a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did with the box, except with a short piece of paper. I'm going to wrap it around here, fold it up at the top, glue it, make it exactly the same way as this, but now it's going to be a little bigger because we put something around there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to, once that dries, cut a square at the top because you don't want your top to look like this. So you're going to cut a square of something and tape that or glue that to the top so that your top of your box looks nice. The top of your box will only be about this tall. We'll just make it nice and short. And because you put the paper towel on there, it'll be a little bit bigger than this. And you will just slide it right down on the top, and you'll have a box instead of a bag. So, and then if you have, like, let's say you wanted to make a whole bunch, you could just take this and put some masking tape around here a few times, and then you could make the bottom of your box and make the top of your box. Just do one down here and then do one up here at the same time. Slide those off and then do another one. So that's how you could make a box like this. But on this one, I wanted to put my handle here. So what I did was I folded it just like I folded the other. Now, when I went to show you, it wasn't dry yet, so this popped off, and then I let it dry, so now it's not going to glue back on. But to put your handles there, fold your bag just like I showed you, and then take this piece and fold it also in half so that it has a crease on it before you glue it. And then when you glue it, you can just slide that right up onto that point. Glue it really good, and then give it some time to dry, and then you'll have it like that. And then again, just punch your holes and put your string through there, and then you'll have a bag that has a little handle in the middle. So, but I will be back in just a second to show you what we're going to need for next week. I hope that you enjoyed this project and that it helps you out in making little bags and boxes. And if you use a heavier like cardstock for this, you can make a box to store things in. And, you can do it for anything that you would like. And you can also make it any size. If you wanted to make it as big as this box, you could. You would wrap it the same way, but only wrap it up this far. When you're done, take it off. Put something all the way around the edge of your box here. Make a thinner. Sorry about that. My daughter called and that interrupted our video. So, but what I was saying was you can make little boxes. So I thought while I was off the air, I would go ahead and I would make one to show you what I was talking about. So what I did was I grabbed a couple decks of cards and I wrapped them exactly the same way, made the bottom, made our bag, except instead of having it be a bag, I'm going to make this into a cute little box. This piece of wrapping paper, I actually glued to a piece of cardstock so that my box would be a little bit stronger. And then what I did, and actually I wrapped this around these two decks of cards, and then afterwards I went ahead and I wrapped it with some masking tape. So that made it just a little bit bigger. I think I have about 5 wraps of masking tape on here. And so that made my lid. And then what I'm going to do before I put the lid on there is I am going to just, because this looks like this, and again I wrapped it exactly the same way except it's just a little short piece of paper to do the lid. And I am going to put this on here just to cover up, you know, that doesn't look really pretty for the top of a box. So we'll just fix that. We'll just go ahead and put some glue on it and glue a little top on it. And that will just make it look nicer. Just want to spread that out so it grabs a little bit quicker. I always forget to do that, but if you spread out your tacky glue, it becomes a lot stickier, because when you leave it in a big lump on your whatever you're gluing, it's very, very wet that way. So if you do it this way, it kind of dries it up a little bit and makes it really quite sticky. So I'm just gonna wipe my finger off on there, and then we'll just take this and this is just a leftover piece from when I cut that out, and I just cut it to fit across the top. And then, of course, that's going to have to be held down for a little bit. But now the top of our box looks cute instead of having it look like that. All right, so I'm going to just take this off again. Give the top of our box a good press. And then I'll just show you how that fits on there. Now the top's not going to be glued on. It's going to have to dry for a few minutes, but we're going to just pretend that that's completely dry. And then we'll just take this and just slide it right on there. Now, this is actually fairly tight. Again, like I said, I had 5 wraps of masking tape on here. If you wrap some paper towel around there, that would give you more thickness, and then put the wrapping or the masking tape on. But this is quite tight, which that works good if you want a lid that's not going to come off easily and spill or something. So, but if you want it to be a little bit looser, wrap a few more wraps of masking tape, or use paper towel and then masking tape just to make your thickness. You know, we only have just a very small thickness here of tape. So, but it's still enough. If I would have done it exactly on the cards, it never would have fit because they'd be exactly the same size. So that's still enough to fit on the top of our box. You could put some candies in there. You could put some little trinkets in there. And that just looks really cute. So you can use it as a gift box, or you can use it as a storage box. You can make them any size that you want to. So you can make boxes this way, and you can make your bags this way. Here's the bag that we made for my daughter's journal, and that fits in there really nicely. I still have room for tissue paper in there, so that looks nice. And originally I was going to use some polka dot craft paper, this one that I got, and I really like the way that this turned out, so I think I am going to use these for my daughter. And then also we made this little tiny one, and this one we hooked in the middle. And I put my knots on the outside. You could do it either way. I thought it would be fun with the eyelash trim on there. So these are what we were able to make today with this project. Oh, one other thing that I did want to tell you though, as I was looking at this, is a lot of times now, instead of getting a roll inside your wrapping paper tube, you actually wind up, they wrap it around a really heavy piece of card. And so that would be something really nice to make these little boxes out of, and it's as big as your roll of paper. So this paper is kind of thin, but this that they wrap it around, instead of wrapping it around a tube, this is actually quite thick. So this one, you know, will work for items where you need a heavier paper. So don't forget, when you get to the end of your roll of wrapping paper, sometimes this large piece of really heavy paper is actually almost more important than the paper you got off of it. So if you have any of your Christmas papers left or anything like that, and they have that inside, don't forget to, oh, see, that's the paper, and that's so thin, and then here is this, and this is really thick. So I wanted to tell you that because I was looking at that and thinking about that. So, but that's what we have for this week. And I hope that that comes in handy for you to use. What we're going to need for next week is some wire. Now, I did go ahead and buy myself another pack of wire, and we'll take $1 off of our budget. So we'll still be able to put $4 in our bank. But I have used up all the wire that I had, but this is the wire that we bought from the Dollar Tree. And if you still have some in your stash, then you can use that $1 for whatever you'd like to. So this is what we'll need for next week. We will need some wire. We will need some large hole beads like our paper beads. So you might want to make a few paper beads ahead of time, not real large, probably 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch at the most for your beads. And also we have the large hole beads that we bought. I don't remember exactly what for, but we did buy those plastic beads, and so we can use those also and paint them pretty colors with our nail polish. So some nail polish might be good, but what we really need to have is wire for next week. So that's what we'll need for next week. This is what we did this week. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really do appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.